Good day, everyone. We welcome you to the virtual press conference entitled RWM Resorts World Manila Returning with More. We are streaming live from the Manila boardroom of Resorts World Manila. I'm Joey Gilas. It's exactly been 95 days since the government has put the entire national capital region on a state of community quarantine, virtually halting all economic activity in the entire megacity. As containment measures are slowly being eased and economic activity slowly being reactivated, questions abound on the readiness of business establishments to operate under the so called new normal. This morning, we shall be zeroing in on the preparations being done by the country's pioneer integrated resort, Resorts World Manila, which is home to more than 3,000 hotel room keys. Well, that's the single biggest consolidation of hotel rooms in the country in a single property, hundreds of dining options, and of course, the country's premier gaming and entertainment facilities. But before we even get started with our introductions and our discussions, let me now present to you the Chief Operating Officer of Resorts World Manila for his opening statement, Mr. Stephen Reilly. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Joey. Good morning to members of the press. Thank you very much for taking the time out on this Friday morning to be able to hear from the very first integrated resort in the Philippines, which has now been in operation for over 10 years, and to also hear from my colleagues, our hotel partners, our international brands, on how we have made ourselves ready and prepared ourselves in the new norm to welcome back our guests and ensure that we continue to give world-class service with a Filipino touch to our guests. So many things has been happening over the past 3 months. We've had the opportunity as a group, and when I say a group, I'm talking about a mixture of fruits making one fruit platter. We have the international brands here. We have 8 hotels on property, which is a very large number of keys. But through that, we have a think tank, and the think tank is not only here in the Philippines, the think tank is truly international. When we look at our brands like Okura, Holiday Inn Express, the Hilton, the Sheraton, the Marriott Hotel, internationally, they've been looking at this pandemic, the crisis, which has unfortunately crippled much of the world economy, but hopefully looking forward to a return to normality as the months go by and we look to a new era. So taking that and also working with the Resorts World management team, we've been looking far ahead of how we're going to ensure that our guests continue to have a seamless experience when they visit the resort, and how we can ensure that touch points are covered, of course from a security, safety perspective, but ultimately we want to ensure we give world-class service with Filipino touch to the best of our ability, which we've always done over the last 10 years of operations. Thank you, Joe.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Stephen Reilly. He is, of course, the Chief Operating Officer of Resorts World Manila. Time now to meet the members of the panel. This morning, we are bringing together not just Mr. Stephen Reilly, of course, but all the general managers of all the hotels operating within the property. And Mr. Reilly just said it right. We have a combination of both the most respected, most prestigious names globally, and also some homegrown brands as well. We begin by introducing the Cluster General Manager of Marriott Hotel Manila, Mr. Bruce Winton.
Morning, Joey. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward.
There you go. That is, of course, Mr. Bruce Winton. Also joining us is the General Manager of Sheraton Manila Hotel, Ms. Ana Vergara.
Good morning, Joey. Good morning, Steve. Good morning to my fellow GMs and to the prestige members of the press who are here with us today.
Thank you, Ms. Ana. Also joining us is the General Manager of Holiday Inn Express Manila, Newport City, Mr. Elpidio Boy Beloso Jr. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Joey. Good morning to all the general managers and to the press people. Um, I'm glad that we will be uh, discussing at this hour today. So I'll enjoy it. Thank you.
I am sure you will enjoy this discussion, sir. And we also would like to present the area general manager of Savoy and Belmont Hotel Manila. We have Mr. Avinash Menon.
Good morning, Joey. Good morning, lovely people. Good morning, fellow colleagues and the members of the press. I look forward to an exciting session today. Thank you all.
We have a hotel that actually is one of Japan's most prestigious brands that has yet to open but will be opening soon. We'll be finding out some more about their opening later this year. We have from Hotel Okura, Manila, Mr. Jan Marshall.
Thank you, Joey. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Reilly. Thank you, members of the press. We look forward to discussing our opening and sharing the stage with our fellow GMs here this morning. Thank you.
And of course, we also have with us the general manager of Hilton, Manila, Mr. Simon McGrath.
Morning, Joey. Good morning, colleagues and members of the press. Looking forward to this opportunity to talk about the recovery.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Okay, I would just like to inform the members of the panel that we are being joined by over 30 media personnel coming from different media networks, from television to radio to print, and even coming from our regional press. These are actually people coming from the whole Philippine Islands, from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. We welcome you to this discussion, our friends from the media. Should you have questions, do not hesitate to just type in those questions and send them over to us. We'll definitely be trying our best to read your questions so that they may get through to our panelists. Okay, let's get started with our discussions. Let me take you all back to that evening of March 16, 2020. That was a time when President Rodrigo Duterte actually made a big announcement that actually placed the entire national capital region under a state of enhanced community quarantine. Now, what that meant was that the following day, immediately after that, businesses will have to be put on hold. Everything must stop. That was a big business disruption. How did you deal with that? Miss Anna, you may want to share your experiences.
Thanks for that question, Joey. That that time sounds like it has been decades, to be honest with you. I did not realize that it was just 3 months ago. But just to share with you, during the time that that was announced, obviously the initial reaction was to gather the troops, gather the team, and make sure that operations and the entire hotel would be ready for the new protocols. So we adjusted everything based on protocols set and mandated by the government, and also mandated by our Marriott International. So adjustments such as closing the restaurants, practicing social distancing, having PPEs worn by our associates, obviously had to be put in place. So a lot of the things, a lot of the practices had to be adjusted based on that. So once that's done, obviously the next step was to look into the business and ensure that we also adjust accordingly. Emotionally, I think me personally, it was from a denial stage to finally accepting, because I don't think any of us anticipated the gravity or the impact of the virus to the rest of us until it hit us really every single day. So we took care of guests. Unfortunately, obviously, we had cancellations. Even the ones in-house during that time had to be dealt with, and ensure that they do not become restless or anxious about the situation, and everything had to be taken care of all at the same time. While we shifted from all the quarantine mandated by the government, we obviously had to make sure that in the process we took care of our associates as well. We needed to make sure that work-wise and personally that our associates are also able to adjust just as much as we needed to adjust in operations. So now, obviously, with what the former normal is to now the new normal, as what everybody calls it, we obviously are embracing it. Very excited, as a matter of fact, about how it is now, and trying really hard to look at a silver lining, something that will make us really excited about how we are supposed to be moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Anna.
Thank you.
Ms. Anna actually mentioned about having cancellations. I'd like to ask Mr. Winton. Mr. Winton, yours is a hotel that is a favorite wedding venue. I remember that you actually do host an annual wedding event at the Marriott. Did you have to answer to a lot of crying brides? Because I would imagine a lot of weddings would happen during the summer.
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, this has had a profound effect on people's lives, and we will talk about a lot of different things today: operations, economics, but there's just that disruption to people's lives. We've seen a lot of children graduate from high school and college virtually. We've seen birthdays be celebrated on social media and in the privacy of our own homes. But imagine your wedding day, the biggest day of your life, and the sort of impending questions that came along as the virus and this whole quarantine period started to evolve. So I think, as Anna mentioned, there was a little bit of denial in the beginning, and on behalf of the brides and grooms and families, and it started out with a lot of questions. And obviously, we immediately took a stance of, we understand the impact here emotionally, and we're going to do whatever we can to be a good partner and accommodate what is a very upsetting moment in that life. So, we've had free rebooking, no cancellation fees. I mean, weddings don't cancel, but events have canceled, but weddings have all been rebooked, and what we're seeing is a big shift into 2021. So I think 2021 should be the year of the nuptials, because a lot of people have waited 12 months to do it all over again.
Well, let's just wish that that season of cancellations will be just a past edition in our history. But from what I've been told, I know for a fact that some of the hotels didn't really have to stop operations during that entire time of the quarantine, because some of you actually did something good for the nation, like catering to the needs of foreigners trying to wait for their flights out of the country, and those Filipinos who are coming back home to be reunited with their families. Maybe you can talk about that as well, Mr. Winton, because for a fact I know that it is Marriott that actually is one of those hotels that actually catered to Filipinos being repatriated back to the Philippines.
Yes, well, in the beginning, the first couple of weeks into the quarantine period, there was the beginning of the migration out. There was a lot of stranded foreigners who were being brought in from all parts of the country, and of course, with our strategic location right next to the airport, we were an obvious choice as a venue for pulling people together from these sweeper flights that were coming in from all regions. So we had several large groups as well as individual travelers. So that lasted 2 to 3 weeks, and then it started to slow down. But then we saw the beginning of the repatriation of Filipinos back, and that has been a huge effort, quite frankly, and one that we've been very proud to be part of. In the current stage of the quarantine and the protocols, I mean, everybody that's repatriating does need to be tested. there are no exceptions. There are no VIPs.
Mhm.
Every single person coming back to the Philippines right now needs to be tested, and they need somewhere to stay while they're going through that process. And we've been very, very active. We're not alone, and a large number of hotels have been doing this as well. And I know that our environment is a very comfortable one, and those guests who have stayed with us couldn't have been probably more pleased, being located in the Marriott for a few days than anywhere else. So, we've been doing our very best to have personalized but contactless interactions with our guests recently, and it's going very well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Beloso, I know that Holiday Inn Express also got a share of that undertaking. How was that done? It must have been tricky. Imagine having to cater to the needs of these customers, and at the same time trying to maintain the government mandated protocols. How did you do it?
Okay, I think that one of the hotel that did not stop operations is Holiday Inn Express. Of course, with the guidance of the IHG management, of course, the RWM with Mr. Reilly always with me from the start. We were guided to move on. Of course, the resiliency of the Filipinos kicks in right away. What we started is putting in place all the necessary protocol because the goal or the goal of the company is the safety of the employee and the guest. So that is one of our first thing that we have done since we don't close operation. And of course, we ready ourselves to accept and to serve the repatriated Filipinos.
Interesting. Mr. Menon, I think it was the Savoy that was also part of this effort for repatriated Filipinos as well as for the sweeper flights. It must have taken an extra effort on the part of sanitizing the rooms just to make sure that everyone is kept safe from the virus, from possible threats of the virus. How did you do it in Savoy?
Well, I think it was. Thank you, Joey, for the question. Firstly, I think it was not good. It's following normal protocol, and housekeeping did their best. I mean, that's part of what we do. It's just being a bit thorough now. There are a lot of high frequency touch points that had to be looked at, and I must say it went pretty smoothly. It was like running a normal operation. Look, at the end of the day, I think it's just about adapting. What the situation did for all of us was to open eyes and stop getting us to that complacent stage and start thinking out of the box, and that's what everybody started gearing up towards, and it worked wonders. And I think it's just about getting the timing right. If you do a room, you do it once. Here you do it twice, thrice. It was about adjusting our housekeeping norms, like the rest of the facilities, like the rest of the operation, and it worked pretty well in our favor, I think. And what it did do is give us an extra dimension on how to operate and how to look at operations with a different perspective. So yeah, it went pretty well. It went pretty well, I must say.
We have been under containment, government mandated containment for the past 95 days. That's a long time, pretty long time. And that was enough time for us to put in place all the safety protocols necessary in order for us to operate under the so-called new normal. I'd like to give the highlighted frame now to Mr. Reilly. Yours is a big job because you've got to ensure that the entire property is actually compliant with the government's protocols. What have you put in place here in Resorts World Manila? I know that the mall, the Newport Mall, has actually opened sometime in March 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. What did you do?
Thank you, Jerry, for the question. Of course, the first thing we had to do was change our mindset. Yes, initial shock with the extent of the pandemic, but as a group and as a cluster here in Metro Manila, we had to change our mindset. And what I say about changing our mindset is not to fight what's actually happening around in the cities, but actually look to try and embrace this as much as we possibly can and prepare for this new norm. And the new norm is ever changing. It can be different tomorrow and the following weeks until we get to a degree of what we have real normalcy. But anyway, because we had 3 months, we actually started before this. Of course, we kept our eye on what was happening in China, well, Southeast Asia, which was the epicenter. And the news was cascaded to our management team on a daily basis. We'd sit, we'd discuss, we'd look at our operations and say, what are we going to have to do to ensure the safety of our employees, but also the safety of the guests once we open our doors and have our offerings available to the general public? So the think tank just continued. This was daily. Actually, it was day and night. Non-stop communication. Communication is so important, and mindset is extremely important. So with the communications we actually had, we decided we'd do things differently. If we look at Resorts World of 10 years ago, it's a wonderful product. It was a game changer. It was the first in the Philippines. Let's call that Resorts World 1.0. 1.0 is like a software. So our mindset was opening up the first integrated resort and entertainment offering of such in the Philippines. So at 1.0, we upgraded that software over the years. Of course, with hotels coming online and different offerings we were offering to the public, be it shows, dining, or hotels. So we're now moving into this new era. And because we've been used to adapting to change, I think for our management team and also for our partner hotels, we're very resilient. And the same as the Filipino people, very resilient. And so we know we can adapt and change quickly. Now, things that everybody's doing, and rightly so, is of course looking after sanitation, welfare, cleanliness. That's all a given. A lot of it is ticking the box. And we want to go beyond ticking the box. We want to go to the next level. We want to go to a level, and we're going to call this and coin this 2.0. So you ask me, what is 2.0? Well, 2.0 is a lot of things. Number one, it's the mindset. So all of us, especially in our management team and also down into our rank and files, every single person has been briefed on what is the current new norm, what is expected from every single employee in the company to ensure guest satisfaction when they return to Resorts World Manila or our partner hotels. So mindset was very, very important. But then we also want to look at visual. What is the customer going to see? What is the customer going to experience when they come into the resort? And there's many, many touch points. A couple I'd like to highlight, and I'm going to allow the general managers, my partners, that's what they've done in their respective hotels. Some of the touch points which are really important. We actually introduced what we call AVP. Now, AVP does not stand for audio video performance, or it doesn't stand for assistant vice president. It's actually the antivirus patrol. Now, you may have security guards in shopping malls or other areas who, of course, have been assigned duties to make sure that people wear their masks. But we're going a little bit further. Actually, I'm an AVP on duty at any given time. Today, I'm not wearing my AVP uniform, which is a skirt. Will actually say antivirus patrol. I have a cap, I wear my mask, and I tour the property. If we're going to be effective, we have to literally walk the tour. So I'll walk around the property, I will speak to our staff, our thrill makers, I'll remind them of protocol before we open, so it becomes completely normal to them. I'll also speak to guests inside the retail component in the mall, and politely mention to them about social distancing. We're also always doing it with a smile, because we don't want to impose anything too hard and too heavy. People come to Resorts World to enjoy themselves. So that's one of the important things to put in place. And it's going to stay for some time. This is not a gimmick. This pandemic is not going to disappear overnight. So it's something we're going to have in place for quite some time. But then we've also looked at our infrastructure. Now, of course, we have a wonderful product, but we can always make it better, make it seamless. Look at the guest experience. So throughout our outlets, throughout our touch points, we're trying to make things where you do not have to use cash. You maybe don't have to use your credit card. You can use your e-cash. You can shoot QR codes. You can order your foods in advance. We even offer now, we started as Resorts World itself, our own delivery service to the home. Now, can you imagine having a home delivery service where you can order from our partner hotels, you can order from your favorite restaurants inside Resorts World Manila, and we will prepare, we will pack, and we will send out via our arm called Delivery. We'll actually send out to your home, using our own staff, the meals that you truly enjoy and you miss from Resorts World and the partner hotels. I can go on and on with a list of things we actually put in place. Yes, the sanitation's there. We have our screening chambers at every single entrance. We're actually adjusting our air conditioning for the whole property to have UV technology. It's being installed as I speak. So the whole resort will have air conditioning, which is not only fresh, but secondly has also been screened for viruses coming into the property. So you're actually coming into a very, very safe environment for both our employees and also for our guests. Another thing which is extremely important, and again, it's not just about ticking the box. Of course, we have, being a big resort, we have a large medical team of professionals, of doctors, and they have been screening not just our staff, they've been screening every single member of our facilities. That includes our merchant partners, in the mall, for example. They are screened, fully screened, a health check before they report to duty. Every single person who comes on duty on a daily basis or they come at night, they actually have a mobile application on their phone. They fill in their health checklist. They push send, that goes straight to our medical department, so we can monitor the state of our workforce on a daily basis to see the health of any given person or as a group. Is it better? Is it worse? Currently, it's good. And we like to keep it that way, but we can only do that through technology. And we realize, and I've realized certainly over the past 3 months, technology is there, and we're just going to make sure we use it to its full capacity. Joey, I can pass that back to you. Thank you.
Well, those are really very interesting developments that actually happened over just 95 days. From what you just said, Mr. Reilly, the 2.0 that you're actually talking about is an entirely new way of doing things. It's actually a new way of living our lives within Resorts World Manila, and that's something that should excite all of us, as well as our patrons, the public at large. I just hope that none of us will get arrested or apprehended by you being an AVP on duty, because none of us is actually wearing a mask at this time. Anyway, since that is the case, since we are anticipating 2.0, Resorts World Manila 2.0 to be an entirely new landscape for all of us, there has got to be sanitation 2.0 or safety 2.0 as far as our hotels are concerned. So I'd like to now give the highlighted frame to Mr. McGrath, who can probably discuss with us how the Hilton is being prepared for the its operations under the new normal. By the way, allow me to correct myself. The mall, Newport Mall, actually reopened May 22nd. I said March 22nd earlier. Mr. McGrath, yes, going back to you. How are you preparing the Hilton?
Thanks, Joe. Yes, Hilton is addressing, or they're taking on the challenge of the 2.0, but looking at it from more of a global perspective, we are stepping up and introducing a global program known as Clean Stay. Clean Stay is Hilton's way of addressing obviously customer concerns and obviously the employee concerns, etc., in regards to a safe environment, a safe workplace, and of course a safe hotel. Under Clean Stay, Hilton has linked with a consumer known and friendly brand, being Lysol, worldwide, and we've identified 10 specific touch points within the rooms, and this program will be well publicized to our guests. Probably one of the unique things we've done is, or about to introduce, is the Clean Stay room seal, so that when you arrive at your room, you'll know that you are the first person to enter that room and the last person to leave that room, has gone through every aspect of our 10-point checklist, used the necessary chemicals and to disinfect the room to a standard that meets with Clean Stay, and then seal that room for your peace of mind. The customer journey is really important to us. Obviously, alongside all of the partners in introducing the thermal checks on entry and ensuring that the people are in compliance with the Department of Health, completing a welfare check or a health check on arrival, and then making their way to the room. But probably one of the things that makes Hilton unique, which we implemented some time ago, but is obviously more relevant now, is the digital key, meaning all of our Hilton Honors members have the opportunity to use their device, their phone, their smartphone, to receive a digital key, and without even touching the door and the lock mechanism can be opened from the outside, and they can enter the room seamlessly. So this sort of takes it pretty much to that level of 2.0. On top of that, we're obviously moving to look at the stay application through our events, through our food and beverage. But I think as the quarantine is slowly released, we are taking it one step at a time and looking at what is most important. And at this point in time, it's obviously to rebuild the customer confidence around the room product, and that's where Clean Stay, Hilton Clean Stay, comes into play. Thanks, Joe.
I also know for a fact, because I have been doing my readings as well, that the Clean Stay program is so meticulous that you actually did a study on the 10 most frequently touched parts of a room. Can you just tell us about this? This is very interesting.
Yes, they surveyed worldwide across numerous different countries and different types of consumers, and obviously that they're putting a much greater focus on their own cleanliness in their own work, in their own homes during this pandemic. So identifying those 10 key touch points was critical to be able to communicate that to the guests. So when you go to pick up the telephone or when you go to pick up the television remote, you think about who touched that before me. As part of the Clean Stay program, we will have a wrap, a seal around the remote, for example, so that you know that has been disinfected, and again, it gives you that peace of mind. It obviously goes to other key areas such as the bathroom, and we've removed a lot of the clutter and collateral from the rooms and gone, embraced the digital era even further and relocated that or moved that to the TV. So the guest service directory, the room service menu, all of these aspects have now been moved to the TV, so that you really feel that, one, you have to touch things less, but when you do actually have to touch things, or have the reassurance that those 10 touch points have been addressed. And that information, again, is reaffirmed, obviously, through our website, through the check-in process, but also, again, the 10 touch points come up on the television when you enter the room, so that you can understand what lengths we've gone to give you that peace of mind.
Very interesting. What about Marriott? I'm sure Marriott also has a global tie-up with some very respected names in the sanitation and safety industries. Tell us about your preparations, Mr. Winton.
Well, very similar to Hilton. Our global partner is Ecolab that we're working with, and they have world-class products that we are using. And they also have, detailed expertise in safety and sanitation. So, and Marriott, with our 93-year history, has always been lauded as a company with a really strong attention to detail and focus on cleanliness. So, I think, but what we are really impressing upon is, having high quality products is one thing, having great processes is another, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the individuals that are charged with the responsibility. And so, training, supervision, and follow-up and inspection and consistency become the hallmarks of any cleaning commitment and cleaning program. So, I can add a tremendous amount of different, ideas that were not already shared by Simon at Hilton, because we're, of course, we're keen competitors and keen partners in the industry, and we're very similar in our approach to all of this. So from the top 10 touch points and so and partnering with respected suppliers to come up with the most comprehensive program with the highest quality products. The key thing to add there is simply the follow-up. So, we now have a dedicated cleanliness champion, which is our hotel manager / resident manager. We have executive oversight from myself, and it becomes our number one priority with all the things that we have to think about. This is our number one priority. So a good portion of our time and attention is dedicated to ensuring and following up that all these commitment to clean processes, procedures are in place and followed consistently. And it's not just our housekeeping staff, it's every single member of the team is put through the same training. So whether you're a chef, a housekeeper, a food and beverage server, whatever you do, an engineer, even if you work in the finance department or the HR department, you're going through the same commitment to clean training before you return to work. And it's going to be continually updated through our daily training processes, week in and week out. Thanks.
Mr. Beloso, you likewise represent an international brand. How are you preparing for the new normal as far as sanitation is concerned at the High X?
Thank you, Joey. Same with Marriott and Hilton. One of the Intercontinental Hotels Group Clean Promise is contactless journey upon arrival. So in terms of cleanliness, in terms of training, I think there's no less or more between hotels that we're managing. But we are also in partnership with Ecolab and Diversey, which is Holiday Inn Express Manila is continuously upgrading its disinfection SOP, as well as health and pandemic preventive measures. We deep clean all the rooms with hospital-grade disinfectants. Of course, we limit our entry to the rooms. Our housekeeping team can be upon request only, especially for extended stays. But what we are trying to to put more emphasis is our contactless transactions with the guests from the check-in to check-out. For example, this is just one of the examples that we limit our touch points. The guest may not be asked to sign the registration card unless required by the local guidance. So we, aside from the SOP that we are strictly implementing and following, we actually wanted to have a touchless journey of the guest from the check-in to check-out. Back to you, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Interesting. That should give our customers more reason to be more confident to check in to any one of these hotels once the MGCQ or the modified GCQ is announced by the government, because that'll pave the way for the reopening of hotel facilities, at least partially. Now, speaking of reopenings and openings, Mr. Marshall, you are from the Okura Hotel, which is a brand that has yet to open at the Resorts World Manila complex. Number one, um, I am pretty sure that the pandemic has somehow delayed your scheduled opening this year. And number two, speaking of sanitation protocols, I know that culturally, the Japanese people are known to be uh, for taking cleanliness as one of their priorities. Tell us about your preparations for the new normal, Mr. Marshall.
Thank you, Joey. As you mentioned, the hotel has been slightly delayed. We will still be opening this year. We did open our Japanese restaurant a few months back. So our Yamazato Japanese fine dining restaurant has been open. Fortunately, it did close during this period, but it is reopened at this time. In terms of Japanese culture, obviously cleaning, hygiene, safety is really part of the DNA of the Japanese people, and it's part of the DNA of our company. Our company has eight, what we call Origin 8, which are 8 guiding principles for our staff, and 2 of those are based on safety and hygiene. Hygiene for the guests, hygiene for our staff, and safety for both. So when our staff starts working in our property, from day one, they're already being taught this kind of Japanese culture of cleanliness and hygiene, sanitation. So it's very important. Looking at additional 2.0 leveling up for Okura during this period and when we reopen, we have partnered with Diversity, similar to IHG, and I think Hilton does some partnering with Diversity as well. Diversity is, of course, one of the largest global companies specializing in cleaning and hygiene products, the hospitality and food business. It's a global company based out of the U.S. They have given our team detailed instructions on how to clean with specific sustainable products to ensure the safety of our guests and staff. And at the moment in Yamazato, which again is open, we are obviously using those standards and guidelines for our guests and for our staff. So we will be ready to welcome guests in Hotel Okura by the end of this year, and we look forward to it. Thank you, Joe.
Well, we heard you loud and clear. We will be opening Okura by the end of this year. So we'll be expecting you towards the last quarter of the year. Is it safe to say?
Yes, I would say that's an appropriate time frame. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Now, we have actually, Mr. Reilly has defined for us what the 2.0 concept is all about, what RWM 2.0 is all about. We have discussed extensively how sanitation 2.0 translates to greater sanitation and security in all your hotels. Let's now talk about dining 2.0. How is dining going to be done under the new normal? I know that a lot of you have actually started on your delivery services, which is turning out to be how dining is done nowadays. That is, I think, the norm. It is actually the emerging norm as far as dining is concerned. So, Mr. Reilly, maybe you can talk about a new delivery service that Resorts World Manila recently actually launched.
Thank you, Joey. Yes, there's many delivery services out there, of course, Food Panda, Grab Food, but we decided that we want to give it the personal touch, and also with some Filipino flair as well. So, of course, with operations being to a degree quiet, it's going to take a while to ramp up. We wanted to make sure we look after our staff members as well, and they're willing and happy to attend the workplace and get back and do something meaningful, especially after a long period of maybe rest during this pandemic period. So we started our food delivery service for Resorts World Manila initially, and we've rolled this out to our hotels, and are looking to roll it out even further now to our mall tenants and other. But the delivery concept is nothing new, but the difference being is, for our customer base, I mean, we're going into Father's Day this weekend, and I hope my children haven't actually forgot about it. I'll remind them later. But we're going into Father's Day this weekend, and we have an awful lot of orders for Philippine fine dining. So I know that our partner hotels have also got awful lot of orders. So rather than rely on, for example, Food Panda or Grab Food, we can ensure that we have food which is, as I mentioned before, freshly cooked, packed by us, it's sanitized, it's going to be in a clean delivery box or vehicle, a motorcycle, and it will be brought to your door by a staff member you probably recognize, and that's something which is a little bit different. It's not a stranger turning up to your door. It could be even a member of management, depending on the guest or depending on the demand, and that's a bit of a game changer. We don't see that very often, where a member of management maybe will bring the food to your table. We can go even further with this delivery service. So it's endless opportunity. It's a way of doing things different. It's definitely 2.0. I'll keep mentioning 2.0 because we're going to actually add that to every single thing we do. And I'm going to be asked the question, and I'm going to ask the question to everybody. Whatever you do, is it holistic? And have you looked at this from a 2.0 point of view? So we're going to be doing that all the way going forward. Thank you, Joe.
Well, given that 2.0 mandate, I wouldn't be surprised if the next edition of this press conference will be called a PressCon 2.0. Mr. Menon, I know for a fact that you're also in this delivery business now, courtesy of Beyond the Go. Tell us about Beyond the Go, sir.
Allow me to start very briefly on our hotels before I get to our branded food to-go services, Joey. And thank you for the question. Belmont Hotel Manila and Savoy Hotel Manila are homegrown brands of Mega World Hotels, largest local developer of 100% Filipino hotels, and have been gearing up for and embracing the new reality of our hospitality industry. Dubbed Safe Stay, We Care, the safety campaign has 5 components: safe welcome, safe space, safe team, safe eats, and safe sleep, to ensure our guests' welfare looked after from arrival to departure. This is also in line with Mega World Hotels' homegrown hospitality with world-class service commitment. Focusing on the safe eats aspect, we recently launched 2 new F&B services: Be on the Go by Cafe Belmont and Out of the Box by Savoy Cafe. We actually envisioned to bring out hotel quality gourmet eats within the comforts of home. However, we branded it innovatively in order to adapt to the grab-and-go market and showcase the lighter, more casual side of fine dining. These are our hotel's branded food-to-go service, which are available to take out, pick up, and delivery. Our menus also consist of curated meal sets from best-selling items of our hotel's all-day dining restaurants. For convenience in ordering and to bring our signature dishes closer to diners, an innovative platform we implemented for such a concept is our chatbot food app, right, where guests can directly order through Facebook Messenger. With just one click through their Facebook account, they can directly browse our menus and process their orders online. Orders can be picked up at the hotel or delivered either by our staff or our partner delivery service providers. I must mention this as well, Joey. I mean, through our gourmet food delivery, we've also started catering to attendees or participants at virtual meetings through the Virtual Meets Gourmet Eats. This is our very own Mega World's virtual events management initiative. So a lot happening, quite a lot happening, with the Mega World hotels and our hotels in particular in Manila.
Thank you, Mr. Menon. You're obviously on the go as far as deliveries are concerned. Mr. Marshall, I also heard that you are bringing the Okura experience to my home via Okura at Home. Tell us about that project, sir.
Thank you, Joey. Yes, we recently developed our new takeout service, which we call Okura at Home. It's brand new for us. Some of our other Okura hotels in the region are doing similar programs. So our Japanese chef, Inosuke Mori, and his team have designed a wonderful menu of Japanese dishes. And not only that, we're offering a Father's Day menu for the entire family. It's coming Sunday. That is free delivery. So we have various bento boxes. We have some signature items from Chef Mori. I think I'm the #1 client of that. So it's going very well, and I would like everyone to give it a try.
I know that both the Marriott and Hilton are also launching their delivery service very soon. But it is actually Sheraton's restaurants that are actually among those that are first to open uh, for dine-in services. Um, Ms. Anna Vergara, please tell us no. We're excited to dine in one of your restaurants.
Yes, thank you for the question, Joey. Sheraton Manila has actually activated both, to be honest. We have the takeout and delivery offerings, which we call as Kitchen to Go and Uri to Go, basically carrying the names of our two major outlets in the hotel, both focusing on some highlights, some of the dishes that we know have gained a lot of traction when we were open, but I know are surely missed by a lot of patrons now who are not able to enter the hotel. So we have Korean food that's coming from Uri with our bibimbap selection as well, part of being part of the list. And then for S Kitchen, we obviously have all our Western and Filipino dishes offerings, plus our plant-based dishes. Which are also gaining a lot of traction. So very excited, very pleased with how the market is taking on the offerings through takeout and delivery. But going to your other question on the restaurants that were open, yes, we have opened both as well as Kitchen and Uri last Monday, as a matter of fact. Obviously, based on the new protocols of 30% occupancy. So we are back to offering both Uri and S Kitchen favorites to the market. The barbecue section is as well open. However, it is on a per reservation basis. So we are very excited. We have from Monday up until now have gotten a lot of walk-ins, which was obviously a very pleasant surprise for everybody, given that we thought people will be thinking twice of going back. So looking forward to more patrons visiting the hotel and experiencing back the gourmet offerings that we have had prior to the quarantine period.
Let me
Thank
just
you.
let me just say, Miss Anna, that I love your plant-based fare. Can I just
Joey.
rush to your restaurant right after this meeting?
Yes.
Or do
Your
I
lunch is
need
on
to make
me.
a reservation?
Your lunch is on me, Joey, after this.
All right. The Resorts World Manila complex is also known as a MICE venue. Okay, meetings, incentives, conventions, conferences, events. Given the huge venues that we have within the property. Now, how are we going to do MICE 2.0 moving forward? Mr. Winton, you have an entire grand ballroom, the Marriott Grand Ballroom. How are we adapting to the demands of this period?
Well, obviously, the meetings and events have been dramatically impacted in recent times, and any type of mass gathering is something that's going to have to be handled very, very carefully moving forward. So, we've been planning globally as a company. Meetings and conventions make up an enormous part of Marriott International's portfolio of revenue, and so something that we take very, very seriously. Now, on a positive note, there is a lot of indicators that people are ready to host events again. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about availability, about our ability to host the events, and obviously about our protocols. So the nice thing about the Marriott Grand Ballroom is it is grand. It is large, and so the number one thing that we are doing is implementing the social distancing protocols. There is a need to give more space for less people, and that's something that we are blessed with, is an abundance of space. We have 42 different meeting spaces, with the Grand Ballroom being almost 3,000 square meters. And we have a new venue, MGBX, which actually we were just about to launch prior to the quarantine period, which has another 3,400 square meters of space. So, There are a lot of protocols out there about how many people can be in a certain space and how much distance needs to be between them. And so our goal for the foreseeable future is to be able to accommodate that without putting any additional burden financially on the customer. And so if you had 200 people, that's you now need space for 400 people to accommodate 200 people. And the 50% occupancy will apply to meetings and events as we move into the MGCQ period. We will be able to host events from there. Now, of course, the health checks, temperature screening, flow of guests, how we register, using technology for digital registration, lowering the touch points. Then when it comes to food and beverage service, you'll see a dramatic difference and an emphasis on how we serve the food. We have, you heard the word bento box earlier on, which is basically a complete meal that comes in a sealed container, which will give the customers the variety, but also the peace of mind that this has been individually prepared and sealed for them. Buffets or coffee breaks and things like that moving forward will be very much focused on single serve, no self-service. Everything will be handled by our highly trained team. And so educating our guests, use of our mobile event application, which allows us to keep in contact with our customers digitally, and so on and so forth. So, obviously we've heard a lot about hybrid meetings. We've all become experts in the digital world over the last 90 days. And the hybrid meeting is that, mixing of the two and having some attendees. Obviously the Philippines is renowned, as an archipelago, and national meetings may take on a different flow in the future, with perhaps maybe Metro Manila attendees attending in person, and then other regions attending virtually, and our ability to service those events. As Mr. Menon mentioned, the ability to serve food, to give program materials, to get them all delivered to the virtual attendees so they can also experience the meeting as a whole, and not just be online or on Zoom. So yeah, lots of different things. I mean, obviously we deal with a lot of third parties when it comes to hosting events, and so qualifying our third-party partners will be extremely important, because the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So with all the focus that we have here at Marriott, we also need to make sure that we only partner with people moving forward who've got that same focus, and that we're meeting with all of our third parties to ensure that they understand the expectations before they can be part of that event in the Marriott facility. So yeah, lots of focus, but we are excited to get moving again. We do have leads coming in for the late third and fourth quarter, and as I mentioned earlier, of course, a lot of events earlier in the year postponed and rebooked, some into 2021, but some still this year. So whatever comes our way, we have the expertise, we have the resources, and we have the space to grow and provide additional space moving forward. So a very important part of our business, and a very important part of people's lives, whether it's a social, corporate or convention event. These are things that are important to our customers, and we are ready and we're here. So thanks for the question.
And thank you too for the answer. I would have to agree with you that we can expect a lot of changes, a lot of innovations as far as how things are being done when the new normal does set in. And the past 90 days have actually taught us the concept of WFH, or work from home. But only this time, I know for a fact that some of the hotels will be accommodating work from hotel. That's a new concept. That's an innovation. Ms. Anna, perhaps you can enlighten us on this new concept.
Yeah, thank you, Joey, for allowing me to share with you that concept. So earlier on, I mentioned about finding like a silver lining with amidst all this scenarios and crisis that we are at. And one of the things that we are looking at, as what you have mentioned, is a opportunity to offer our patrons, our clients, a work from hotel concept. So there has been a lot of discussion about spaces that's available in the complex. Sheraton Manila, for one, is very proud to have and to share with everybody about the first co-working space that will be launched here in Asia Pacific. It's actually the first for the Sheraton brand. It's first in the country in a hotel setting. What it allows us to do is to provide additional working space, especially now that we know a lot of establishments are required to have all the protocols, especially on the social distancing part. The work from hotel concept is basically not just offering a space, but offering a one-stop solution for establishments, specifically BPOs, who we know would have several other requirements apart from space, apart from ensuring that they have their teams intact, they have like their dedicated internet connection, that both teams A and teams A and B are all provided with all the resources and the facilities that are available. So CoLab is what we call our co-working space, is ready to provide all these and allow establishments, as mentioned, to set up a workspace here in the hotel. We have had several presentations virtually, and we have received a lot of interest from a lot of BPO companies. As a matter of fact, I have another meeting after this with a BPO company who also caught the story and is very interested to take a look. I'm actually here in the CoLab, so you see at my background a little bit of the CoLab. This is not giving justice to the beauty of this space because this is almost 1,300 square meters of office space that is available. That is probably a challenge to some establishments. So please let us know if there are any requirements. We're very excited to share the facility, to share what the features are of this, and we will be opening memberships soon and be able to offer all the other add-ons of probably the other co-working spaces, plus the beauty of having a co-working space in a hotel setting that would have facilities such as the gym, restaurants, obviously, parking, and accessibility for sure for all the business districts around. So that's something that we are very excited to offer to. Thank you.
Zana, just a bit of a question. Is CoLab anywhere near the very beautiful Vega pool?
Yes, it is. It is actually, CoLab is actually located at the second floor of the Sheraton Manila, while the Vega pool is at the third floor. We are in an area that is fronting our Uri restaurant and connected to our casino, and fronting the very beautiful view of the airport along Andrews Avenue. So Sheraton Manila is at the forefront of the complex.
How cool is that? Imagine working in a space that is just a few steps away from a dip in the pool. So that should get everyone excited. Anyone else who is offering that kind of an arrangement, a work from hotel? Mr. Winton?
Yes, Anna mentioned the BPO industry because that's one that's returned to work basically on a 50% occupancy, and I know that is deeply impactful to that industry as they provide key services, especially at a time like this. Many of them support the financial industries, for example, around the world. And those phones are busy, and those customer needs are piling up. So they've been suspending in some cases, and they're anxious to optimize their workforce to 100%. So we also offer guest rooms. A guest room is a perfect individual workspace for somebody that's doing a high value business. And And it could be, even beyond the BPO sector, it could be the executive who's working from home for the next few months, who's got some very important meetings on any given day, and maybe the home environment is not perfect for that most important meeting, and that's a perfect opportunity to say, you know what, today I work from hotel, tomorrow I work from home, but today I work from hotel, and so having a day rate from 7 to 7, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. can provide a perfect opportunity for an executive to get into a comfortable private environment, order room service, have it delivered, maybe even a workout in the gym, to freshen up, and basically have 12 hours of dedicated space is also another opportunity that we are embarking on. And so yeah, whether it's multiple guest rooms for several office workers to relocate for a certain period, or a single room for an executive or a worker who needs a quiet, peaceful, comfortable environment with additional services, then we have flexible rates and accommodations for either. Thanks, Joey.
All right, sir. Very briefly, I'd like for Mr. McGrath and Mr. Menon to expound on something both of them have actually mentioned already earlier. This is check-in 2.0 or 2.0. For Hilton, it is the keyless entry, and for Belmont, it is e-concierge. Tell us more about it, about these concepts. Mr. McGrath, you may go ahead.
Thanks, Jerry. Yes, Digital Key was launched nearly 2 years ago, and when Hilton opened in October 2018, we were the first hotel in Manila to open with this concept. The Digital Key is in over 4,700 of our hotels worldwide, and by being a member of the global Hilton Honors loyalty program, you can have access to the Digital Key through the Hilton Honors app. What it basically means is that you can go online, you can book, you can, in the days leading up to your arrival, you can choose your room online, just like you choose an aircraft seat online. And then from there, when you arrive, we can send you your digital key through the app, which allows you to use the digital key in the elevator, go to your room, and as I said earlier, without even touching the door, you can unlock the door and move into the room. So it really is something unique, and obviously with Filipinos, they love their gadgets. It certainly proved very popular. But in this time where we really are looking at wherever possible, the contactless interactions, it's proved extremely popular. And again, it's reaffirmed that it's innovation, and the type of innovation that Hilton has become famous for. So we're really reinforcing that, and we're also moving towards a platform of not only a digital check-in, but moving towards a platform of a seamless and contactless digital checkout, which is to be launched in the near future. Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Mr. Menon, tell us about e-concierge.
Yes, thank you, Joey. MegaWorld Hotels have some very innovative and exciting plans in the pipeline, and one of them has been dubbed our version of the ultimate customer service 2.0, called the MegaWorld Hotels e-concierge. This is a new reality in making the hotel experience seamless, and this is going to be launched soon for all our MegaWorld hotels. MegaWorld Hotels aim to actually go fully digital and are currently developing an app that guests can use for mobile check-ins and checkouts. Guests can also use the app to order online from our hotel's F&B outlets. The app that we should be soon to be developed also features a chat facility that will direct complaints straight to the department heads to immediately address any concern in real time. So in essence, Joey, the e-concierge would offer the following: web check-in and checkout, a cashless transactions, virtual chat assistance, online food ordering, and online guest feedback. So really, MegaWorld Hotels have embraced technology and innovation in this unfortunate period of the pandemic, and we aim to keep going on from there.
Thank you, sir. All right. Let me just do a time check. It is now 12:09. We were supposed to end at exactly 12 noon, but we do have some questions from the media. But at this point, I would like to I just remembered that several days from now, it'll be Father's Day. And right this very day, it's June 19, it is actually the birthday of our national hero. Today is the birthday of Dr. Jose Rizal, who happens to be the very first frontliner of the Philippines. And having mentioned that, I would just like to say that this month, for the whole month of June, Resorts World Manila is actually paying tribute to our frontliners. And that's why we are running promos across all of the hotels. I also know that you have Father's Day promos in your individual hotels, but I'd like to give the highlighted frame to Mr. Boy Beloso to give us a summary of what's in store for fathers this weekend.
Thank you, Joey. Talking about delivery and celebration, may not be a party at this time as it is not yet allowed, but we cannot stop from celebrating. So celebrating Father's Day with our Father's Day Delish Berry, which is, we would like to highlight that RWM's Pabuenas Pamor, a Casa Buenas Feast at Home offer. We are giving you a special menu from our newest signature restaurant called Casa Buenas, and with a price that starts at 3,500 pesos, 4 to 6 of your family members can already enjoy. So this is good for 4 to 6 person. So for more information, you can actually reserve your orders now and visit rwmanila.com about it. About rooms, yes, we salute them, we are proud of them, and we are honoring them. That's why we come up with an offer of a Frontliners Month, which RWM partner hotels, including Holiday Inn Express Manila, offer special packages for our frontliners when you book starting this June. So for Holiday Inn Express Manila, an overnight stay in a superior room with breakfast for two is priced at 3,500 net only for our frontliners. That covers a booking period that started already last June 10 until August 31, 2020. So again, for more information, visit rwmanila.com. Thank you, Joey.
And thank you so much as well, Mr. Boy Beloso. Okay, time now for the questions sent to us by our media friends. We have a couple of questions. The first one goes to Mr. Stephen Reilly. And the question goes, how much of the mall tenants are open now? So it's an update on just how many tenants have actually opened their shops already.
Thank you, Joey. In the Newport Mall, we have 114 tenants. Out of 114 tenants, approximately 60 of those tenants are in operation. And I've been monitoring their sales over the last couple of weeks, and I'm seeing it growing every single day. A lot of it's actually takeout service, F&B, drinks, but the numbers are actually growing, and also visitation is actually growing on a daily basis. Of course, our cinemas are closed, that's mandated. But now we have the dining options. A number of the restaurants are actually open for this Father's Day. We expect to see the likes of Wolfgang, Barcino, and others have a good uptake with the Father's Day promotions that they'll be offering. So, yes, I mean, the mall is open. It will open further as the weeks go by. And of course, as we get more foot traffic into the property, I think a lot more of the retail partners will actually open their doors.
Thank you, Mr. Reilly. Now, this final question goes out to all our hotel general managers, and this can actually be an appropriate parting shot as well for all of you. Answering the question will be an appropriate parting shot. When will your hotels be accepting regular or advanced bookings? This question actually came from the media. I'd like to start with Mr. Winton.
Thank you, Joey. Well, obviously, we are following the guidelines of the IETF, the Interagency Task Force. So the hotels will be available for bookings when we go to the MGCQ quarantine status. So right now we're in GCQ for an additional 2 weeks. So we are looking at June 30 being the end of that, and July 1 being open for bookings. So, we are open for local bookings on July 1st. Of course, if things are adjusted or changed, we'll also have to adapt. But we have a free cancellation policy or rebooking policy. So nobody should hesitate to book a staycation. Worried that something might happen, because there will be no penalties, and they can just rebook or cancel the reservation. But July 1 is the answer to that question, and we are looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you too, sir. Ms. Vergara?
Well, Sheraton is obviously under the portfolio of Marriott International, so pretty much the same as what Bruce has mentioned. We will follow what the guidelines will dictate dictated by the IATF. So we're crossing our fingers that July 1 will be the day, and we will be very ready to open the hotel and accept reservations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Beloso?
Okay. Same with the first two. We were quite excited the past few days, hoping that it will open, but we are moved to July 1. As per advised by the government, we are actually opening in July 1 also. But at this time, we are entertaining calls, we're answering reservations, inquiry, and we are ready by July 1. So thank you very much. And we all wanted to see you at Holiday Inn Express Manila. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Menon, please.
Thanks, Joey. Well, I have to go with the rest. I think leisure travel is not allowed. I do hope it's allowed as soon as possible. Having said that, we should be ready by July 1st as well. And I hope, in accordance with the DOT and DTI guidelines, we're able to accept leisure guests and OTAs as well. So lots riding on July 1. I think everybody will be tuned to the TVs and radios and whatnot. Yeah, that should be a cause for celebration, I suppose, from July 1 onwards. But yeah, we all wait bated breath and keep our fingers crossed. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Mr. Menon. Mr. McGrath, let me guess your answer is also July 1st. But let me now ask you another question. What are your plans for the weekend? And go ahead, invite your Hilton fans.
Well, this weekend, obviously, with Casino open, although it's at limited occupancy, our very popular Filipino open kitchen restaurant, we're obviously looking forward to a lot of Father's Day bookings from our regulars, and for those people looking just to simply get out of the isolation of their own home and come and enjoy some of the hospitality that we're famous for. Obviously, we're looking forward to spreading the light and warmth of hospitality, which is our mission. When that fabled day comes, and hopefully it is July 1st. On that note, though, obviously our booking systems are open, proudly open, to welcome back Filipinos that are repatriating into the country under the GCQ. So we hope to see more of them, and we're also waiting with bated breath until the MGCQ comes into play. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. And Mr. Marshall, I know that it's going to be a long wait for Okura fans, but do invite them to Okura.
Well, thank you, Joey. Just to mention again that Yamazato is open. It's on the second floor of the casino area here in Resorts World. And we are looking forward to everyone visiting that restaurant. It's very highly regarded. And as mentioned before, we will be offering a special Father's Day Supreme Bento experience, and we're offering free delivery on that. So, and as soon as we have dates for our opening later this year, we will be sharing them with everyone. So we look forward to that. Very excited. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Jan Marshall from Hotel Okura, Manila. All right, we've had a fruitful, insightful discussion over the past hour and a half almost. I'd like Mr. Reilly to give us his closing statement at this point. Mr. Reilly, happy Father's Day.
Thank you, Joey. Yes, I have to remind my children when I go home, or discreetly remind them it's Father's Day on Sunday. But it's been a pleasure to, as an integrated resort, be able to give an insight of what we've been doing and how we intend moving forward in the future. I don't think many people actually get those insights, and it's been a pleasure to be able to share this with the press and those people who'll be watching this further on YouTube as we move forward. For Resorts World, say we were the first integrated resort, we always have surprises up our sleeves. There's a lot of things going on, and a lot of things in the pipeline as well, of how we're going to thrill our guests with our thrill makers. But ultimately, it's getting time for everyone to come back, and one thing we can assure you is, we'll be thrills like no other, and with a Filipino touch. So we look forward to seeing you all very, very soon at Resorts World. Our doors will be open. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Reilly. Don't go away just yet to all our panelists, because it's a tradition for virtual press conferences to end with a photo op, just for posterity. So you can just take a pose for the next few seconds, and our photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, everyone. That's all the time we have for this virtual press conference entitled RWM Returning with More. This has been Joey Gilas, a proud thrill maker and always ready to thrill you every chance I get. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're done.